Hello and welcome to Azam Sharp Weekly. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can get started with Vapor 4, which is a server-side Swift framework. This means that you can run your Swift language on the server. So you can create most probably like server-side pages. And I think the most common approach or the most common usage of Vapor will be to create a JSON API, an API or a web API, which is going to be returning you JSON, and then you can use your iOS or any kind of application to consume JSON, display JSON, and post JSON. If you go to docs.vapor.com/4.0, you can see the installation instructions. So first thing first, make sure that you have Xcode 11.4 or greater, and you can obviously update your Xcode from the App Store. After that, also make sure that you have Brew installed. Brew will be used to download and install Vapor. After that, you can go ahead and install Vapor. Now, Vapor 4 is currently in release candidate, so that's why it is saying over here beta, but it will be released in maybe a couple of months. Once you have installed Vapor and everything, let's go ahead and see that how we can create a Vapor project. Okay, so once I am on the terminal, I can actually just check different kind of commands that are available in Vapor. You can see if I say Vapor help, I can see all these commands. And the one that we need right now is this one, which is creating a new Vapor project. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead over here and say Vapor new, and then the name of the project. I can simply say the name of the project is Hello Vapor. And since I want to create Vapor project that is using Vapor 4, then I can simply go ahead and specify branch equals to 4. Now, obviously, when the Vapor will be released in a couple of months, you don't have to specify the branch equals to 4. It will be the default. But right now, I do have to specify that I am using Vapor 4. Now, let's go ahead and run this, and you're going to see that it is going to create a Vapor 4 project, and it will be inside the Vapor Hello Vapor folder. Let's go ahead and jump into Hello Vapor. And one of the things you will note inside the Hello Vapor folder is that it does not have the Xcode file, the project file. So you can't really open this up in Xcode. But the good news is that you can simply run Vapor Xcode, which behind the scene is simply going to run the Xcode project, generate Xcode project command. And this is going to at least create an Xcode project for you so that, well, you can open it up in Xcode. Now, the first time you're running this, it is going to take a while, anywhere from 3 to 4 minutes. So let's make sure that it is working, and once we come back, we hopefully will have the Xcode project done. All right, so finally it is done, and now basically it is asking me that do I want to open this project in Xcode? I'm going to say yes, I do. And now it's going to open the Vapor project that I've created in Xcode. So it's going to launch Xcode. There we go. And once again, if you try to build your application, which you definitely should, it's going to take a little bit of more time because, well, this is the first time you're building. Now, also make sure that the target, which is right over here, is set to run, because that's the actual application, the target that you're going to run, which is going to, in turn, start the server. All right. So let me go ahead and press the play button so that I can actually start the server, and you're going to see that it is going to take a little bit more time to start the particular server. So let's just wait for that. All right, so here we go. It is actually, the server has started, and you can see the URL, which is right here on the console. This is the URL of your local host, so you can go and visit that particular server, and it will return you hopefully something, because when you create Vapor project, it actually does add some default code. So anyway, let's go and check it out. Okay, so it simply says it works, and the background is actually way too bright right now. Okay, here we go. Okay, so it says it works. That's great. Now, where's all of this coming from? Well, if you go to the sources folder, and you will see that the main file, now this main file is the one that sets up a lot of stuff, and then it eventually runs the application right here. But the actual application is right now inside the routes. So this is where it is capturing those routes, and it is basically displaying some sort of a result. So this is our main route, and you can see that we haven't specified that this is a root route. So we didn't really specify anything. So this becomes the root route of the app, which means that you can simply go to this URL. Let me type it up over here so you can, there we go, something like that. So this route is going to get invoked and it is going to return, well, hello string, or it works. Now the next one is the one which you have to provide hello. So that is the endpoint, which is a little bit different. And this hello is actually coming from, you can see right here. So let's go ahead and check it out. To check this out, you do have to run the app again, or run the server obviously. So if we go to the hello route, we should get hello world and not it works. So let's go ahead and change that. I'm going to go to hello, and it says hello world. So you can see that the routes are actually working correctly. This is great, right? So this is how Vapor actually works. I mean, you can go ahead and create all of your endpoints, routes, whatever you want to call them, and it is going to return you. Right now, you can see it's returning basically string because we are returning string, but you can return JSON, and I think JSON will be more appropriate. I'm going to remove all of this code so we can actually start fresh, and we're just going to see that how we can return JSON, or how we can return and post JSON and information, how we can return a structure, and these kind of things. So I'm going to go ahead and start it with router.get. So the first thing we need to do is actually, hold on a second, app.get, not router. I'm in the node world right now, I guess. App.get, and we need to provide some sort of a path. So where do you want to go? So I'm just going to say, okay, if I go to movies, then you are going to return me all of this stuff. So request in, and now we can return something over here. All right. So I can go ahead and return whatever the movie name is, with Lord of the Rings if I want to. And if I go ahead and build this and go to the /movies, it's going to return me Lord of the Rings. So let me go ahead and run this application. It's no different than hello route that we had earlier on. So instead of hello, I'm going to go to movies, and it says not found. Okay. So that's one of the other things you have to specify, I believe, without the slash. Kind of weird, but I think that's one of those glitches that it needs to be fixed in the future. All right, here we go. Let's go, and it says Lord of the Rings. All right, great. Okay, so it returns Lord of the Rings, but it returns it in kind of like string format, and I don't really want it to be returning in string format. So the question is, how can I go ahead and return it in JSON format so that my iPhone application or any other application can easily consume it? So in order to return JSON, what we can do is we can simply put all of this inside some sort of a dictionary. So that dictionary will have a key called name, and the value can be anything. So I can say Lord of the Rings, and I can attach more keys to it. Year when it was released, I have actually no idea. So I'm just going to say 2002. I think it was released some other year, but it doesn't really matter right now. Let's go ahead and run the application. Okay, so we do have to pass this as string because these are the values, keys. All right. Okay, and we can go ahead and refresh the page, and now you can get the JSON response, right? But how can we make it better? Because it's not advisable to use dictionaries like this, because you can misspell the key and other stuff, and it will be hard to create that kind of a hierarchy. So what about if we can go ahead and create a structure, hopefully in a new file, but right now I'm just showing you that how you can do that, which will have, let's say, name, which is string, and in this case I'm going to say year, which is, let's just say, integer, just to be a little bit different. So if I want to return this, I can go ahead and say that, okay, create a movie object, and the movie object, the name can be Lord of the Rings, and the year can be whatever, it doesn't really matter. Let's go ahead and build this, and you will see that it says that the movie needs to be conforming to response encodable. So we can actually go ahead and use content over here. Now this content protocol is actually coming from Vapor, which in turn conforms to response encodable. Let's go ahead and build that again. All right, great. And let's go ahead and run this and see that if we can return a movie object, which is then converted to JSON. So we can see that the return type or the actual result is same, apart from that the year is now in integer. So that's great, and I actually recommend that you use this approach when you are returning, instead of returning the data in a dictionary format. All right. Now the other thing that you can do with Vapor is route parameters. Maybe you want to go to the movies, but you're only interested in a particular genre. So how do we create that route parameters? And by creating route parameters, I mean that we should be able to go to movies/genre/comedy. Now in this case, this is the actual genre, which is comedy, but it can change, right? I mean, we can go ahead and create another genre over here, which can be action or whatever. So it can be action, it can be romance, it can be kids. So it can be many different kind of genres. The only thing that is changing is the actual genre itself. It can be fiction and all that stuff. So instead of creating 3 different routes or 5 or 10 different routes, we can create one route which can match or which can extract the actual parameter, which is the changing, which is action, comedy, and fiction. So how do we do that? Well, app.get. And this particular syntax is a little bit different. Now in Node, which is a framework from JavaScript and Express, I can easily write something like this: movies, and I can say genre, and I can simply pass in the route parameter like this. Now it does not work this way in the Vapor. I mean, I think this is a much better approach. It's much more fluent. So if I had to write the same thing in Vapor, it will be a little bit different. So it will be cut into different pieces. So you can say movies, all right? And the next thing is the next part, which is this one, the genre. So genre is going to come over here, genre, all right? And the final part will be the actual route parameter, which is indicated by a colon, and whatever you want to call it. I mean, you don't really have to call this genre or anything, but this means that the value of fiction and the value of action and the value of comedy will be in this particular variable that you can extract later on. So we'll say request in, and we can return back something, all right? So how do we extract the genre? This part. This is a route parameter. So this will hold comedy or action or fiction, depending on what we're sending. So how do we get this value? Well, let's go ahead and get the value. So I'm going to say genre equals to request dot parameters. Okay, the request dot parameter is not firing. And let's go ahead and return something over here. So maybe that will give it a little bit more indication and return hello world. Let's go ahead and build that. Okay, now let's see, request dot, and there we go, it's alive, parameters dot get, and you need to pass in the name of the parameter, which you already know, it is genre. So I'm just going to pass in genre, and it is going to return me something. All right, so if you look at this request dot parameters dot get, you can see that it is always going to return you a particular nullable or optional string. All right, so genre. And now if you do want to convert it to integer, I can go ahead and convert it to integer. That's fine. I mean, I can do that if I want to. So I can go ahead and say maybe genre and then try to convert it to integer or something. All right. So we got the year, and I can return the year if I want to, or I can return hello world. But just to see that if we were able to pass in the year, I can simply say this movie was released in, not even released in, I think that we can simply say the year value is, and then simply pass in the year, just to show that we got the year. Obviously, this has no meaning in our real thing that we're trying to do. All right. Now, year that is going to be returning you is going to be obviously one or the other, which means that it is either going to be year, or we can simply pass in like empty string or something, or this is completely up to you. You can, at this point, I think if the person is not passing you the Sorry, it's a genre, not the year. See, I'm getting confused now. There we go. So if the person is not passing genre, then you can check and maybe you can throw an error or something that, hey, you better pass on the genre. All right. Let's go ahead and run this. I've been calling genre year, so that's not good. And we can go ahead and go to movies, but this time I can go to movies/genre/comedy. So let's go ahead and pass in the route parameter. And you can see that whatever the genre that I'm passing in the URL, that's the genre that we are actually returning. So let's go ahead and pass in a different genre. I'm going to say fiction. So there we go, fiction. And now it's coming out to be fiction. All right, so we were able to extract out the values of the genre, and then we were able to pass the same thing. All right. So what else? The next one is, well, how can you post information? So let's go ahead and see how we can actually post. Just like app.get, there is app.post. And the URL, it can be anything. I'm just going to say add movie. It's going to take in the request in, and we can return something else. But how do we get the actual value from the post? Well, we can simply say movie equals to request dot. Once again, you can see Swift is kind of messing it up. So I'm just going to say, okay, return hello world or something, just so that Swift can at least see what's going on. There we go. And now we can say request dot content dot decode. And the content over here means what the content the person is sending. So which in this case will be the body of the request. And decode is we are decoding it to a certain, well, structure, which can be decoded too. So I'm going to pass in movie.self, and this is going to give me a movie. Now the request.content.decode can actually blow up, so make sure that you're calling it with optional. And we can actually just go ahead and return the movie. So let's go ahead and return the movie. And now you can see over here that the response could not be inferred. Now this is more of a Swift thing rather than a Vapor thing. It is basically saying that, hey, Swift is not smart enough to find out what exactly you are returning, right? So I am returning a movie over here, which is defined right here on the top. But Swift is not smart enough to do that kind of a calculation. So we have to help Swift out a little bit. We can say, oh yeah, by the way, Swift, we're going to be returning a movie, all right? We also need to find out that how we can unwrap this movie, all right? Because right now, if we are returning a particular movie, we have to unwrap it. If we don't unwrap it, then what are you going to be sending it? So this is completely up to you. I'm just going to use a shortcut approach, which is, by the way, wrong. You should not do that. I didn't even check if the movie is null or not. If the movie is null, meaning if the decoding is failing, then this is going to, well, this line is going to simply blow up at this point because it is null. So you have to make sure that what do you want to return in case if a movie doesn't decode correctly. But right now I'm just showing you that how you can do these kind of things. We're not trying to validate these kind of requests. All right, so let's go ahead and run this. Now we can't really use our browser to make a post request. So for that case, we will have to use some tool, and one of those tools is actually called Postman. So let's go ahead and use Postman. It's right over here. Here we'll be sending, I believe, in integer. You can see the URL. Let's go ahead and change the URL to reflect that, add movie. And let's go ahead and send the request. And you can see it basically sends back the same exact request, right? So that's it. I mean, we were able to do get, we were able to do get with route parameters, and we were able to do post. So this is the introduction to a Vapor framework, Vapor 4, which is a server-side framework for building, basically building APIs, building server-side stuff. You can write your whole server-side website, which is basically rendered or created on the server, and it will return you back the completed page. So server-side websites are usually very, very fast when they're rendering for the first time. Now, mostly I think people will be using it to create APIs, the one that we just created. So I think it has a great future. Definitely check it out. Vapor does have a very good community online on their Discord channel, so make sure that you are part of that community if you have any questions. All right, so hope you have enjoyed this video. If you want to support my work, then the best way would be to go to Udemy and check out my courses. I have courses on SwiftUI, machine learning, MVVM design pattern, RxSwift, Combine, ARKit, Flutter, blockchain, Node, and much, much more. So definitely check out my courses. If you just want to support me and you already have my courses, then the Patreon link will be great. And all the details of the courses and links and deals to the courses is right there in the YouTube description. So make sure that you utilize the YouTube description. And if you use those links, then to be really honest, I get a little bit more higher revenue because you are using the referral links, and I would be like super grateful if you're using the links that are provided in the description. Thank you so much. You can also follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Azam Sharp, so you can definitely follow me on Twitter also, where I post articles, where I post different speaking engagements. I'm actually speaking. You can see right over here. I'm speaking in an online conference, Try Swift World. It's a very famous conference, and I'm giving a talk on Introduction to ARKit. So you can definitely go to Try Swift World and purchase a ticket. It's only $50, and then you can listen to me kind of like live, obviously, where I'm presenting augmented reality. All right. So, and a lot of different things that I'm posting on Twitter, like COVID tracking API and the COVID tracking app. So you can, use all of those different things. Thank you. And I really hope that you have enjoyed my channel, and thank you for your continuous support.